Hey guys, what's going on? It's Nick from DesignsAcademy, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a tutorial on making a simple, nice looking stream overlay. It's going to be for those of you that are going to be streaming on something like Twitch on your computer and you want a nice overlay with your webcam or other things. I'm not going to be showing you guys how to use this. That's a whole nother video about using different programs to stream your actual screen and setting this up, but I will be showing you guys how to make this in Photoshop. So first of all, what we're going to want to do is click File, New. You can do it through File, New, or click Control N, and I'm going to do 1920 by 1080. That way, even if you're streaming in 720, this will just scale down and it'll look nice. So we get this nice big canvas. This is HD 1080p. First thing I'm going to do is unlock my background layer. Just double click, click OK, and I'm going to make a new layer using Control Shift N. That is the shortcut for a new layer. You could also click this little paper here or click Layer, New Layer. But Control Shift N is a little bit faster. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get a box for our webcam. So the easiest way to do that, if you're streaming and you're using a webcam, it's going to be the same aspect ratio as this whole canvas. So the way I'm going to set up the little box and make sure it's the right size is get my marquee tool. You can either press M or click on the little hotbar on the left here. Hold select this whole thing, right click, and click fill. Color, doesn't matter, I'll fill it with black. Deselect, right click. And now on our new layer we have a black rectangle. And if I click Control T, which is to free transform, and hold Shift while dragging this corner, I'm rescaling the box that is the identical size to our webcam. So I'll position that somewhere about there, should be good. And now we have a good area for our webcam. So maybe you want to even change the color of this to, you know, something different so that it's easier to see where you need to put your webcam. So just make it red. So this box is where you're going to be putting your webcam over in the software. If you're making an overlay like this, you're obviously going to know what you need to do with this. So kind of self-explanatory. The next thing that I'm going to do is create kind of a little bottom border for this webcam, and then eventually I'll duplicate it and put some bars along the bottom for some other information, like donations and other things that you want to put on your stream. So the way I'm going to do that is get the rectangle tool, and I'm going to fill it with kind of medium gray, and I'm just going to make a rectangle and about that size. Control T, center it up into my little rectangle right here. If you have Photoshop CC, this will be really easy because you'll have the auto snap rulers like that. See, it's centered. Make it a little bit smaller. And what I'm going to do is, instead of just having a rectangle right here, I'm going to make it kind of like a three-dimensional shape. So first of all, I'm going to rasterize this layer. That way I just have a rectangle and not this like a rectangle tool shape. I'm going to click Edit, Transform, and I'm going to click Perspective. And what that's going to do is warp these edges, but it's going to be at the same perspective. So if I drag this one out, we'll see it flares out these sides kind of. So I'm going to do that a little bit, something about like there. Click OK, and I'll move this in a little bit so it's inside the canvas. Now I'm just going to duplicate this and I'm going to flip this. So to do that, I'm going to do Edit, Transform, Flip Vertical, and I'm going to move this so it's matched up with the bottom. And I want this bottom part to be darker to give it dimension and make it feel like our shape is kind of a bottom plane rather than just this kind of weird shape right here. So this bottom copy, I'm going to Control U, and that's our hue and saturation, and I'm going to turn the lightness down. What that's going to do is basically, if I turn it down, -25 is good. Click OK. Now we can see that it kind of gives it like a 3D effect. Makes this look more like a bezel than just like two rectangles that are warped. So that makes that look pretty nice. I'm going to scale these down just a little bit. Also, all the sizing for this is something you're going to have to play with, especially depending on what game you're playing. If you're playing CS, I see a lot of people put their webcam up here, or maybe put it somewhere down here. If you're playing CS, you probably want to keep your webcam pretty limited, but if you're playing other games, you want to mess around and move your webcam wherever it is best for whatever game you're going to be playing. Just for example, though, I'm going to put it right here. So now that we've got this kind of basic rectangle, three-dimensional shape on the bottom of our webcam, I'm going to add a quick outline to the webcam, give it a nice gray outline. Now you'll notice if I double click this and go into our FX panel and I click stroke, it's rounded on the corners, which is what we don't want, so I'm not going to use stroke. All I'm going to do is duplicate this, put it behind, Control U, and I'm going to turn the darkness down a bunch so that it is black. Now if I could turn it back up again, I can turn it to another gray. And I'll just use this, I'll make it a little bit darker than that top color, not quite as dark as the bottom one. Click OK. So now we've got a nice stroke around our webcam. So if we just put our webcam where this red is, then we'll have a nice looking box around our webcam. The next thing I'm going to do is add a little bottom bar here. I actually want to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to make a nice bar on the bottom for different types of information, whether that be streaming, top donators. It's really up to you what you want to put on this bottom bar, but I'm just going to make 3 kind of segments to just show for an example. So I've got both of these selected, both my little rectangles here. Click Control J, and now I can move them, and I'm going to center them up and then make it a bit bigger like that. So now we have a nice bar that's the same size as this, just a little longer, and basically this bar is going to be our just kind of middle header, if you will, for the stream. You could write streaming or something like that on there. It's really up to you, but I'm just going to duplicate this again, and these ones I'm going to put behind it. Just kind of give it more of a 3D feel, something like that. Match up these edges, that looks cool. And then duplicate that again, and if you have CC, the auto rulers here will help you out quite a bit. Looks pretty good to me. So now I've got this kind of whole bottom bar situation too. Basically the idea for a stream overlay is to provide surface area for you to give more text information that you're not going to always want to say aloud. So this is kind of the basic layout for a stream overlay. Now you'll notice we have all these rectangles and they're nice looking and all, but they don't have any text on top of them. So what I want to do now is create some text, but I'm also going to add that same perspective to make it kind of go along the plane of these 3D shapes that we've created. So I'm going to get the text tool. The font I'm going to use today is Typograph Pro Semi-Bold. You can download this for free. Just Google Typograph Pro. Really nice looking font. Would recommend it. For the name, under the webcam, put example, because that's usually where you would put your name. And we'll go in here and I'll scale it down a bit. And again, guys, this all comes down to personal preference. This is just kind of like a default stream overlay that I'm making for you guys. I will include this in the description if you want to use this. But yeah, just really simple, quick for the tutorial. Just showing you guys kind of the elements that you want to include. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this, and I'm going to hide this because we're going to need that later. And I'm going to right click and click rasterize. And what that does is turn this from a type image to just pixels. So now I can do edit, transform, perspective, just like we did on these rectangles. And what I'm going to do is drag this bottom corner out, and you can see I'm going to match this parallel of the edge of this transform to this rectangle, and that's going to give the same perspective. If you guys know anything about illustration and stuff, they're going to a vanishing point up here, and when they go to the same vanishing point, you can see it looks like it's at the same perspective as this. So now if we go back, that example looks really nice. You'd have your name or whatever kind of information you want up there. And then I'm going to use this copy that I made earlier down here, and I'm going to do the same basic thing. I'm going to do now it's editable still because I didn't rasterize this one. I'll do live streaming. Do that for our example. Get it centered. I'll move it down a little bit. Control J, right click, rasterize it again, edit, transform, perspective, and I'm going to drag these corners out. And same thing, I'm just going to match the outer lines of this rectangle, and you can see it's at the same perspective and it looks pretty nice. So basically you would just do that for any text that you want. If I edit this one, let's say if you wanted to have a place for your top donator to go, you could have this right here. Same thing again, rasterize, edit, transform, perspective, and just match that same perspective. And it makes it pretty cool looking. So that is basically just a quick tutorial on a very easy template for a stream overlay. You just put your webcam right here and you'd be good to go. You can obviously adjust all these things, like maybe you want all of this to be much smaller, which right now it would be pretty big because it's in 1080p. So maybe you want it something like that. Minus this, and you know, maybe for the game you're playing you want your webcam down here. You can move these assets around individually on your template, or you can move it over here or over here, you know, just depending on where you want it for the game. Once you've decided on the layout that you want, I'm going to say that adjust this a little bit. I'm going to say that this is good and this is what I want for my game. What you're going to do is deselect this white background layer because you want it to be transparent. You're going to go File, Save As. I'll just save it to my desktop. Stream Overlay. And you're going to want to make sure you save it as a PNG because that's going to leave it transparent, and in the program that you use your stream overlays in, it's going to need to be transparent so that, for an example, you could have on this white layer, let's say you have Counter-Strike in the background. Let's just say that gray is Counter-Strike. That you could have all this over it and display it properly. So you're just going to want to make sure that you save it as that file type. I will include the link to this file down in the description if you want to use it, if you want to tweak it around, if you want to mess with this overlay. It's very simple. Just made this tonight for the tutorial. But yeah, guys, comment down below tutorials you'd like to see. The revamp is coming very, very soon, so get excited for that. Can't tell you much more than that, but that is it for tonight's tutorial, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a quick stream overlay, helpful for those people that want to start streaming and don't know how to make just kind of a simple, decent looking overlay. Just kind of something that you can launch off of and create your own things. Yeah, guys, I'd love to see what you make with this overlay. If you guys make anything else, you can tweet it at me. It's at slothcandy on Twitter. I'd love to see what you guys make with this. Anyway, guys, that is it for